Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cartoon Chatterbox. If you haven't guessed yet, we're looking at Smiling Friends, something I've been very interested to talk about for quite some time. Everyone,
Hey.
introduce yourselves.
Hello, I am Wesley, and if you like what you hear, we have a Patreon, link in the description.
Hello, everybody. I'm Irish Husky, and if you like the show, you'll like this podcast because our conversations kind of follow the same cadence.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is it my turn? I'm sorry. I was just looking at my phone this whole time because like the news is pretty crazy. Like I saw that like the Renaissance men are supposed to come into my town today, and I don't know what's up with that.
What are the Renaissance men?
I don't know. I just like you guys know what I know. Just like it said, the Renaissance men are coming to town, and it seems like pretty soon. So like. I got to be pretty on top of that. So I don't know what that means. It could be anything.
Right,
But until then, I'm Raccoon Bro VA, and I do stuff on YouTube. But I gotta make sure I know what this Renaissance Men thing is about.
And I'm Yuri Jets 10. I write and do voice work online, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so this show just kind of blew up a couple years ago. Like the second it came out, it was being memed like crazy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I was only passingly familiar with Oni plays, but cool points that they got their show off the ground.
Yeah, in all seriousness, I have been following Zach, especially Zach, like his work for a really long time. He is probably one of the funniest individuals like I know I've ever like seen on the internet. Like when it comes to like his animations, he has the classic like "Get Out of My Car" animation, and also the like "Arrow to the Knee" parody that everyone knows, and of course like his involvement on Oni Plays.
Wait, he did the "Get Out of My Car."
Prolific. Oh, he did. Yeah, he did the animation for it that got a bunch of views.
Oh my god, I loved that video.
It's really one of the best like animations set to a real life audio videos, I think. And of course like Oni Plays like probably my favorite Let's Play channel on YouTube like right now. It used to be Game Grumps, but Oni Plays like slowly like overtook that placement for me, and especially Zach when is just like very dry, deadpan sense of humor, and the insane hypotheticals he comes up with. Like, if you guys like want to see more of his stuff, like I suggest like looking at like Best of Zach compilations, just anything. And like Oni Plays fans are really good at compiling the best moments in a like digestible manner, and that is why I was so excited to see his show get picked up like that, because like the pilot came out in like 2020. But really long time ago, like crazy to think about. And then like for a year, nothing happened until we finally got news that it was going to be an actual show. Like Adult Swim picked it up, which would have been shocking if they didn't, because even when only the pilot was out, it took the internet over by storm. Like there really is no like modern cartoon like Smiling Friends that has been this much of a phenomenon, in my opinion.
Right, and I guess since we're on the topic of the pilot, we might as well start from there, start from the beginning.
Yep, the pilot had the first memes. But what are the Smiling Friends, I must say? Charlie mentioned he's an artificial human, a homunculus, and Pim grew up a tadpole.
Well, I'm very glad you asked that question, because I told you guys before we started recording that I was doing a bit of research for this. I just got done watching the DVD commentary for season 1, so
really?
I'll be able to provide some like little behind the scenes tidbits and whatnot to go along with it. And to answer your question there, they have a very interesting take on the lore for this world. There are different kinds of like species here, and there are like normal people. And they just like look like normal, just human figures. And then you've got characters like Pim and Charlie and Alan. They're considered critters in this world. So it's almost like sort of mascot-esque characters. And then you've got miscellaneous, where it's just like you don't really know what they are. Like they're kind of just a bit too abstract to really pinpoint. And then You got characters like Mr. Frog, who he's not a frog, but he's more. They consider him a demon character. and then like 3D Squelton, like 3D characters are their own culture as well. So it's like a very rich lore, I believe, when it comes to Smiling Friends.
Okay, so my first question is, where does Mr. Boss fall into that?
I think he's a human, and they say that he does a lot of CrossFit. That's why he looks like that.
Okay, well, yeah,
that
explains everything.
Human. Yeah.
And he is their favorite character to write for, next to Mr. Frog, because of just you can literally do whatever you want with him.
Yeah, you never know what to expect with the boss. He's just insane.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of first impressions, I think the pilot is 100% like you should show this to anybody who's like, what is Smiling Friends? Like, it perfectly encapsulates what it's all about. Like, even the very first scene when they're watching that really random, like, strange video on the TV, and then Pim is like, oh, you missed it. What? Oh, he did like a little spin thing. It was the whole reason I was showing it to you, but I don't know. It was kind of cool, I guess.
Reminds me of that joke. Reminded me of SpongeBob, where he's watching the sea anemone.
Just like very realistic conversations sprinkled throughout the chaos of this world, because it's immediately followed by the Smiling Friends alarm, which doesn't show up for the rest of the season. It takes until the next season for it to show up again, and just like completely terrifies everybody outside.
Right. So I will say the Smiling Friends have a good business ethos. It's sort of like a response to the nihilism of the 2010s, where they're like, absurdity, nothing matters, but the Smiling Friends are like, sometimes that's okay, but all you need is a smile.
Yeah, it's a very noble cause, honestly. Mm-hmm. And it gives them a wide variety of possible episode concepts as well, that they could just do anything with it, really, because you can meet a wide range of characters.
Yeah, and it's funny how some of the best characters are the side characters. Just this episode, we get two that really resonated: Desmond and Dave.
Dave. Look, first off, Dave, he needs no introduction. He's Dave, okay? What more do you need to say? Desmond.
I kind of imagine him as being sort of like this Mark Zuckerberg tech bro type.
Yeah. Desmond, though, there's quite a bit to unpack with him. He's voiced by Mike Ciclassa of Red Letter Media fame, and he's of course, like the perfect voice they could have gotten for him, because he's essentially doing his Mr. Plinkett voice that he did for especially those old Star Wars reviews that he did.
Yeah, I recognize the guest stars they got on here are crazy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
And we'll go by them one by one as we continue, but it's they slowly get like, how did they get this person? And Mike is a great first pick to show the star power that they can acquire.
The Smiling Friends cast is basically a who's who of 2010's internet personalities.
Mm-hmm.
with that's about like 50% of it, with the other 50% being Mike and Zach essentially showing off their demo reels.
I've watched what little I've watched of Odie plays. They're pretty much just the same as the Smiling Friends. They stole the same conversations and clips.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
And a lot of jokes from there like originate here as well. Like the whole, and also their animations, like the whole bit of Mr. Boss. There's no real way to sugarcoat it. Breastfeeding his son. That's based on a very old animation that Zach did, and it's just essentially like the same little like kind of bean baby character from it. And it's like I told you not, you shouldn't bite, okay? All right. It's like very creepy, but it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, what an intro, Mr. Boss.
Like Mr. Boss is someone like he seems like a really nice and friendly boss, but at the same time, he's someone who's incredibly unhinged. From I once saw this comment on Mr. Boss, like online or something. They say, "Yeah, Mr. Boss is like a legit nice guy, but he's also so unhinged at the same time. He's absolutely insane."
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten several comments that apparently I sound a little bit like him. Especially when I go into his like country drawl that he occasionally goes into. I think that's the most charming part about him is that he's so wildly inconsistent in the best way possible. Like you can't even really pinpoint his voice because like he can go from like being like all the way up here and like excited about what's going on into like being really like I wasn't really planning on that happening. Like, knock it off, guys! Yeah, sorry. Don't worry, I'm back.
Does he go back and forth between that in one of the later season 1 episodes?
Yeah.
Yes, you're probably right, but we will be able to get there with
right.
This one.
And the end where they make Desmond smile, that's pretty special, pretty funny.
I just wanted my cheese.
Yeah, Alan's got his own little subplot, but that's something I find interesting about the pilot is that it does sort of the typical we got a main plot going while sort of a subplot is happening in the background that eventually they eventually clash together at the end. That's not a normal thing with the rest of the show. They only do that like a couple other times. Like most of the time it's just very straightforward. What you see is what you get. Like we're
season
really,
2 episode makes fun of this concept, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we will.
Which, it's the pilot, so they were clearly figuring things out, and obviously they wanted to give all the characters a bit of spotlight so that you can get a good idea of them. And which leads to my favorite scene, because like Alan is a lot of people's favorite characters, and I love him. And then what sealed it for me was when he pushed the refrigerator back, and there's just this guy in the wall, voiced by Finn Wolfhard, but you can't tell it's him because they put a very big like filter on his voice to make it unrecognizable, and just like Alan goes from like being super like quirky and like I must get my cheese back to being the straight man of it, and like what are you doing like in our like you're not really supposed to be here. It showed me that even though characters have their shtick per se on this show, there's gonna be a lot of dimension to them, and like they're not gonna be tied down to just one single gag. And you see that also with characters like Pym as well, because like he's supposed to be like the optimistic, cheery one, but then by the end of this, he's like completely out of it, and just like is he all right? So it shows like these are, while they are cartoon characters, they are also people as well, and it makes it more engaging. And honestly,
right, I think that's I'm glad that they only did that once, like showing like the whole nihilism of the world actually getting to him, because otherwise he's perfect as a smiling friend because he simply doesn't let it get to him, always has that cheery attitude, with one other exception. We'll get to that.
Yeah, it was just
and he's
a bit of a rocky point, but he eventually got over it.
Right, and he started out so cheerful too when they thought they were going to help out some little kid who needed help smiling. I love kids, Charlie. I love kids.
Pim, I really wouldn't yell that.
Oh no! That's dangerous to say. You'll end up like Cool Cat.
Oh no.
I love babies. Is that what he says?
Yep. Pretty much.
Oh man!
If I just my Cool Cat voice is just my Mr. Boss voice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I'm like Cool Cat too. I could choose Cool Cat also because loving kids to your friends is cool.
Oh dear. But yeah, that's what that line reminded me of. I'm actually pretty cool with Charlie because he's the real chill one. He's just like, I'm doing it. It's fine, whatever.
Right.
I'm just like I'm just here to do my job. I get I assume paid, even though it's a charity organization.
Mm-hmm.
So
but
I don't know how the Smiling Friends makes money. That's an interesting topic.
Right, but he's kind of that laid back type.
Mm-hmm.
So and every show needs a straight man. That's the thing I'm getting
right.
at.
And it's so great, especially it's purely Zach's like normal voice, and it's hard to. He has one of those like palettes that is so incredibly specific, and I can't. It's hard to like imagine anybody doing an impression of it because it's just him, and he is like no other, and it's perfectly counterbalances like all these like gremlin and like high pitched and screechy voices that he's doing like along the side, and like Michael is a very similar with that as well. Like even when they first get there, like that old woman it's just Zach, but like you wouldn't expect someone with as distinct a voice as him to have that much range, but they both do, and that's what makes it so awesome, so wonderful hearing them just like go wild in the vocal booth with all these colorful characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on with the pilot?
Now that we covered our bases, they're only 11-minute episodes, so
I know. I feel like we've been talking about that one for 11 minutes.
right.
I guess I just like that at the end of the day, what made him smile was like finding his purpose in life. Like that, it can be as simple as that, really. And
Yeah, it's just a topical message.
Mm-hmm.
and it was slightly foreshadowed when he was like, "What, the ant? I mean, it's kind of cool." And it's like the ant like slightly being adjacent to extermination.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, y'all ready to move on to the next one?
All right.
Yeah, this one's great.
Episode
Mr.
2,
Frog.
Mr. Frog.
Mr. Frog, like, this is the
wonder if
episode that got... Huh?
Mr. Frog reminds me of the Ezra Miller scandals.
Mm.
Oh,
I would say
boy.
arguably the most important episode of the show because this was their chance to show that the pilot wasn't just a fluke.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, like, Mr. Frog was what got me into the show. There was another episode I saw before this. I won't say which one yet. But, Mr. Frog, this is the episode that made me go, oh yeah, I'm going to stick around for the show a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, fun fact, there was a bit of foreshadowing to him in the first episode. If you look at the drawings in Pym's house, one of them is of Mr. Frog.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And they mentioned in the commentary, it would have been a little embarrassing if we didn't get picked up and we weren't able to do anything with that drawing.
Yeah.
Like, what cracks me up about the Mr. Frog show is that, like for this, and I think like a couple other episodes they do this, they talk about in great detail of the Mr. Frog show that had so many seasons and all stuff like that, but all they talk about is just him eating the bug, and that's it. That's all they talk about, and they say stuff like, "Oh yeah, like it's just really good in these couple seasons, but after that you can just skip it." I'm like,
Yes.
That's just so funny to me.
Yeah, it's like you only really need to watch seasons 4 through 17. Like a multi-billion-dollar brand, like he became a worldwide success, winning many awards. But
And I love the thing that got him canceled was failing to eat a TMZ reporter.
Oh my gosh. I'd pay him to do that.
And of course, what gets him back is, actually eating the scummy producer. Like, give the people what they want.
That's all they really needed. And it just goes to show that cynicism does not fly on this show. Like, if you are a scummy CEO that slaps good boy Glep, you will die by the end of it.
Oh, absolutely.
You are not allowed
Right.
to have a happy
And
ending.
you just gotta love that commentary. How
Yeah.
like the
Glep's pretty
producer hires Glep specifically for his ability to spit, and then when it comes time to actually record it, they say, "No, don't spit. That's problematic."
You're being toxic while he himself is acting like way more toxic than that.
Yeah,
Glep
like,
is kind of like the Gary of the show, where no one understands what he's saying except the characters.
Yep, and of course he's got the best. He has the greatest wisdom.
Yeah.
Like I
and
think when he
even-
said "skibidi-dab-dab-skibidi-boo," that really spoke to me.
Yeah, the way he said "skibbity," like it really stuck with me, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even like the executive's design, like the most uninspired one in the show, it just like it reflects the way that he probably views entertainment as well. It's just like just factory copy paste, like as long as it's making money, just bare minimum, and that's some good visual storytelling as well.
Mm-hmm.
Something else about Mr. Frog I think is really funny. It's like the way he's animated. There's times where like we don't see him, and then he'll just like run right into the frame, just out of nowhere. It's like genuinely unsettling at the same time.
Like Mr. Frog jump scare.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered saying sorry? Oh, hello. I'm not sorry though.
Hello.
Oh, that will make it a little bit more complicated.
Hello, can I touch your hair?
And then we find out that it's actually a nerve end, which makes it even more painful that he pulled on it.
Oh, that's the other thing. Another thing I like about the show is like the perfectly cut screams.
Yeah, like, we got a gag like that in the first episode with the bird outside.
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing about it is that Smiling Friends is the first show to translate internet humor to the small screen effectively because they hired internet veterans. Like these guys have been on, like they know what they're doing. They've been doing this for like over a decade, and so they know how to make that style of humor work in a more scripted format and make it not annoying, which so many other animations like have pitfalled into because they're out of touch.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. And can I also just say I loved the Jimmy Fallon impersonation.
Yeah, Hans von Harken, he did the voice there.
Yeah, they captured his mannerisms and his annoyances so well.
Yes.
Of course, you gotta wonder what Mr. Frog said while he was on those sleeping pills that Charlie got from his uncle.
Zach and Michael confirmed that they know what Mr. Frog said, but they can't actually confirm it, or else they would not be able to continue the show. So they know what he said. We just aren't allowed to know it.
Okay. By the way, just as a side note, I love the consistent mystery throughout the show of Charlie's uncle, who apparently loves driving his car into large crowds.
He's crazy about his cars, man. Yeah, like Charlie, that's another thing. Like, while Charlie is definitely, like, normally the straight man, like, their dynamic is certainly, like, it constantly evolves, like, within the episode itself, because, like, even, like, Pim, like, he's, like, this time Charlie is the one who wants to go out and, like, make the client smile. Like, Pim is the reluctant one this time, which adds, like, more layers to, like, their backgrounds, honestly, that, just it really does depend on the situation. It's not just like a singular thing. Mm-hmm. And by the way, there's also a gag from Oni Plays where they're playing the game Worms.
I played that when I was a kid.
Yeah, and they were using the chat function, and they're just like messing around, and Zach just sent a really innocuous one. Well, like Chris was like, "Congratulations on the pilot for Smiling Friends," and then Zach was like, "We're gonna put a worm in the second episode." And you'll notice there is a worm in Mr. Frog's like little zoo sanctuary when all the animals are going crazy.
Yeah. Worms play a big part in this world. We'll get to that.
we will.
Oh yes.
Should we move on to episode 3?
Yeah, episode 3. This is hilarious.
Yes. Speaking of worms, this episode starts with Pim eating a bowl of worms because he doesn't know that they aren't peanuts because he can't see.
Yeah,
that's harsher in hindsight.
And I'm very proud of myself with that because I got that joke into Shay Frillis's recent Kaguya-sama YouTube collab.
Really?
The YouTube poop collab.
Nice.
And there was a joke where one of the characters in the show is drinking tea, and I was like, "What would you call that flavor?" And it's like, "Those are the worms for my compost," and I edited the worms into the cup. I was pretty proud of that one. I was glad it made it in.
Nice, dude.
Awesome.
So check it out if y'all would like to see it.
Right.
And Shrimp Odyssey. This is one of my personal favorites because I feel the story is super strong, And like right off the bat, they established that Pym has bad eyesight, and
Right.
so you're like, oh, it's one of those things where okay, it's just like a little one-off thing, whatever.
Chekhov's gun, my friend.
And don't forget, they introduced the most important character in the show here.
Smormoo. Oh, the Smormoo.
Look at him.
This can't be changed.
Literally resembling the 2016 Electoral College with the map.
Yep. Yeah.
It's like, damn.
So this was the first episode where I immediately picked up on the cameo. It was the guy at the coffee shop saying, "Number 15. Can I get a number 15?" I was like,
yes.
that sounds like the Burger King foot lettuce guy. And then I remember what show I was watching, and I was like, oh my god, that's actually him.
Yep. That's one of those cameos where like, okay, this show's in good hands. Like you got chills for a single line. Like that's all I needed to hear. And then you got Jennifer, or AKA Shrimpina, voiced by Erica Lindbeck, who very another prolific voice actor, known for a lot of games and anime. Like she's sort of the go-to. We need a normal sounding girl voice. Yeah. And she does a great job, like counterbalancing the craziness.
Yeah,
of the
honestly,
the April Fool's puppet episode. She played Jennifer in live action.
Wow.
Well, that was a different person doing the live action.
Oh, really?
Acting. Yeah, I forget her. I have the IMDb pulled up.
Elena Martinez, it says on the wiki.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
I found that interesting. That I guess like Erica probably wasn't like available to film, which
right.
Fair enough.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think this episode has my favorite ending of any episode. Just because of the twist, and also the surprising wholesomeness of Jennifer being into Shrimp's hobbies.
Yeah,
but I think
he got the girl by being himself.
Yeah, but no, my favorite single line is Charlie just going, "Her name was Shrimpina, dude. She'd be a shrimp."
Yeah, I know. I thought it was like a quirky. You thought she would be a shrimp, but then it turned out she really wasn't. Look, this is way worse than the worms thing, man. You got to get your eyes checked out.
I know, but like first thing tomorrow.
Yeah, just like the self-awareness is what gets me, and just this kind of meta humor, like, is admittedly been getting kind of old. Like, especially when, like, I haven't actually seen it. I've just seen a review of it, but like Velma is a really good example of just how awful and like cringy that can be. But I really do think it comes down to the voice acting and like the way that they sell these characters and just like make it sound so realistic, right. and just like putting these like silly looking characters in very stressful situations. Like that is Smiling Friends, like, to a T.
Yeah, I think I think what makes this in particular work is that this is the kind of world where a human could theoretically be named Shrimpina.
Exactly.
And
it's like the one show ever where that could work.
Right. And I like Shrimp as a character too. Like the nerdiness, who knows what he likes and just kind of accepts that he's not going to find love. He's down about it, but not the end of the world for him. Yeah,
I thought it was funny how he immediately recoils in the sunlight like a vampire.
Yeah. And that is David Firth as Shrimp, who most people would know for Salad Fingers, doing a less creepy version of that voice.
Right.
Oh, I remember Salad Fingers. I remember the picnic episode the most.
Yeah.
And something else I want to say about that episode. Does anyone, when they see Pym's fantasy with Shrimpina, anyone get reminded of Squidward's fantasy from Just One Bite, where he like goes through his entire life and he realizes, it's just a dream.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
He married a sandwich.
The guy.
Why I remember most about that is when it ends, Squidward just wakes up. He just goes, "Honey."
With Pym, it's so wholesome that he has such, and like all of his friends are there at his child's wedding, and like they're all like so like jittery and fast, and then they're all like having fun on the BMX bikes going wild.
By the way, the guy who sings that song that plays in the background is the guy who sang the Pokemon theme.
Yes, that's right.
Oh,
That's awesome. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because it's a
that-
cover of an already existing song. And they just got
my
that guy to give the most epic performance.
And
Yeah.
Pim,
This
Pim
is news
found that
to
song
me.
in a like a Spotify recommended rabbit hole. Like he was just going through a bunch of stuff on there, and eventually found just the right thing.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, how
and,
did they find him? He's been hidden for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, this show can get anyone, man.
It's like that King K. Rool animation that from recently, where they managed to get all the actors back from the Donkey Kong Country 3D show somehow. It's like, whoa, okay, I didn't even know that they were still acting. Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, I
alright.
gotta check that out.
Okay,
Oh yeah,
so-
definitely. It's and also favorite joke from this episode. How do I look, yellow man?
Yeah, you look
You
like you're
look like
about to
you're-
tell your friends not to go to school tomorrow.
No, it's just like they are so good at handling dark humor like that.
Oh, and one last thing before we move on. That green Homer Simpson looking guy who takes a chunk out of him after the tanning booth, that is not the last time we'll be seeing him.
Oh,
Right.
he is a menace, a very casual menace.
Yep. I think I saw one guy refer to him as like Bosnian Homer Simpson.
Nah.
Yeah.
And you just like, yeah, even in like you look in that scene, it's like you'll see like a little guy like coming out of the clothes and just like running around. Like there are so many background gags that like you have to watch these episodes multiple times, and like it goes to
Right.
show like every little frame matters.
Right,
And
like it
you just,
helps
like,
that the episodes are short enough. Like this is like for the ADHD rattled mind, this is your perfect show.
Right, yes. Yeah, every second counts, so they got to make sure to put the most in every scene.
Right. All right.
They also mentioned in the commentary that the phone that Mr. Boss answers at the beginning, it's one of those things where it's like they imagine a conversation probably happened afterwards where Mr. Boss is like, by the way, what do you guys think of the phone that I got? And Charlie's like, well, I mean, it's nice, but you know, we don't really need it. It's like, oh, okay, sure, I can just get rid of it, I guess, because we never see it again after that.
Oh yeah.
Right.
All right,
And number 4 is the silly Halloween special, even though it aired in January.
Yep. With these.
Oh, I
with-
love this one. Like, there's something about this one that I want to talk about when we get to it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And already we're stepping away from the formula. This is not a client-based episode. It is more so what do they do after hours? Just and having and like after season 2 came out, it's nice to know that they're probably gonna have like a Halloween-themed episode every year. So like
Right.
getting like sort of a regular show. Scary stories vibes from it.
Right,
and
but the
Tree of
joke is
Horrors.
they always air their specials out of season.
Yep.
I think with this one, it was intended to be in Halloween, but you know, COVID and all that made everything
Yeah.
crazy.
Right.
And so, with this one, I want to touch on on 2 characters we get here, like at the very beginning, who we don't see much of. The redhead girl that comes in with Charlie, they do confirm that is his girlfriend,
Mhm.
and I don't know her name. And
Zoe.
oh, thank you.
Charlie got Riz.
And I'm very curious if they're gonna actually give her an episode in season 3 or later or not, because she does appear again in season 2, but like she doesn't even talk there.
Right.
And
Right.
with Glep, that is his wife, Marge Simpson. It just happens to be her name. No relation to Marge Simpson from The Simpsons.
I love
That's
that
funny.
so much.
And they're like, yeah, it's not like it's a copyrighted thing. Like Marge is a common name, and so is Simpson. So her name just happens to be Marge Simpson,
Right.
and his name is just Glep. Doesn't have a last name though.
Maybe it's short for Margaret instead of Marjorie.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this episode has, in my opinion, the single most wholesome moment in the whole show. It's just Pim picking up twigs in the forest.
Aww.
Yeah, that's that's sweet.
Picking up twigs. Oh, thank you, Mr. Bud. Mwah. It just like he'll just randomly give everybody kisses every now and then. It's just like it's so sweet. But it was preceded by another one of those very realistic conversations we were talking about with Mr. Boss just being very casually like, I'm sorry, what was that? Like, oh no, I wasn't saying
I'm just saying
anything.
okay.
Okay, sure, whatever. I pick up some crap off the ground, and wait, one more thing. He does like give him a genuine warning about it. Like he doesn't want like Pym to get lost and to be food to the forest demons. So, and it's funny. Like they did like a fun little. People did a thought experiment. They mapped out the forest, the actual forest, and it did. The geometry like totally checks out. Like it did make sense how he ended up back on the normal road, like with the path he took. So nice attention to detail.
That's some cool attention to detail. Yeah, the animators really went all out. They didn't have to go the extra mile, but they did.
Yeah,
really like even like before we get to like the crazy shit, like this is a really well animated episode, like, and like this is probably my favorite performance from Michael Cusack as well as Pym, because like he sounds like I genuinely feel the fear in his voice, like even when that like lightning strikes, and like the way he's flailing in the river too, and the way the water splashes, like that's really well animated. And like,
yeah, and also I think this is one of our first instances of blended art styles. We have a stop motion demon.
Yeah.
Yes. We got some live action bits before, and like even like this one had one as well where they were. And by the way, that alley took place in was like filmed in Australia, and they just like were like trying to find like some crazy back ass alley to make it look like one of those old like Twilight Zone things.
Nice.
But I guess I just love a lot of blended art styles, like in SpongeBob or stuff. It's like visual trickery and manipulation. You're always on how they did it.
And the way this creature just jumps out, it's genuinely terrifying too. Like he jumps out and scares Pym. Like it comes off as a genuine surprise.
What makes the jump scare work to me is that it didn't feel cheap. Because, like, if you pay attention to the background, like, after Pym is catching his breath, you can see, like, a little shadow figure coming out of the river, like, crawling out. And you're like, what the hell? Like, do you think your eye is playing tricks on you? And, but, like, when I was watching with my roommate, I was like, did you see that? It's like, I saw that. It's like, then he came out, I was like, whoa! And then an action scene follows up. I think jump scares should always be followed up by an action scene. Like, I think that's a general rule of thumb.
Yeah, like, but what I want to say about why one of my favorite things about the show, when he gets to the party and everyone starts thinking that the demon is blackface, the demon suddenly talks normally. He's like, he goes, "Oh no, this isn't blackface. I'm an actual demon." Like the way the show tackles monsters, like the demon or Satan or like another creature that we'll talk to later. I love how these guys act civilized, yet they still have kind of monstrous voices to them, and like that's something I've been trying to do with my writing. I want to like try like make the monsters that like act civilized or something like that, and like I honestly think that's just really a really funny idea, like having monsters but they act civilized and they still sound like monsters in a way.
It's so fun because he spent the entire episode chasing after Pym, and I thought it was going to be one of the cliche things like, oh no, I was just like trying to have a conversation with you. I wasn't really trying to hurt you. But no, like he was more concerned about getting canceled as opposed to like trying to like finish the job.
Forget canceled. This guy gets ripped apart and burned. And the guy, by the way, the guy who started that was the same guy who made fun of Pym in the party in the first episode.
Yes, the rotoscope teenager.
Like, who is this asshole?
It very, very much inspired by a previous show that Michael Cusack had worked on that used a lot of that same technique with some of the characters. But this gag, by the way, where they're like ripping up the monster and like tearing him apart, that's another Oni Plays reference, because it was from their Luigi's Mansion 3 playthrough, and Chris was saying, Zach, you told me about a gag that you really wanted to do where a mother comes home to like a birthday party and all the kids are like waiting for cake and food, but instead of food, she just throws a monkey onto the table and all the kids go crazy and tear the monkey apart and start eating it. And I'm like, I think that gag is funny, but I don't think other people would find it funny. But Zach somehow found a way to make it funny by instead making it a terrible forest demon that you want to see get ripped up.
That's how you do it.
So
Yeah, and it resolves the
absolutely
main
brilliant.
conflict of the episode by having the bonfire.
Yeah.
Thanks for getting that forest firewood, Pim. Halloween is saved. As he's taking a bite out of it.
Yeah.
Although I saw one guy on Twitter say that Mr. Boss sounds like Hop Pop in an episode when he says the line, "You get lost."
Yes, yes,
Yes,
I hear that too.
Definitely, yeah.
Although when we're talking
Dream.
about when we talk about different animation styles, is it kind of like would you say the Cave of Wonders from Aladdin is kind of example of this, where like two different animation styles clash?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
In
a
fact,
good
that's
example.
probably one of the most iconic examples like that, and also the ballroom scene in Beauty and the Beast, and the
Yeah.
clock tower chase in Great Mouse Detective.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those scenes look breathtaking.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
with this, it's a bit more. It's less about trying to blend it in, and more so the tonal clash of it and the absurdity of it, which adds to the humor. Because they're like stuff like that, and like this. Whenever explosions happen in this show, it's not like drawn; it's like actual fire that they put in, like in After Effects. Because like the show is animated in Adobe, and they're like, yeah, that kind of stuff like looks cheap and stupid in live action, but when it's animated, it's like silly and funny. It's like how out of place the explosions are, and
Right.
like same thing goes for these characters, and it makes it more terrifying too. Like genuinely, like this is a really good creature design.
Like,
Stop motion is always the most uncanny because you know what you're watching is real.
yeah. All right.
And I believe the animator they got for it could be for a different stop motion character, but with this one, it's a famous Australian guy who had done stop motion for a bunch of like commercials, and like he sort of like got popular off of that, and so they wanted to get that guy to do it for this episode,
wow.
which is a very cool shout. Like it's nice to see Michael Cusack showing love to his native roots and like getting as much collaboration there as he can.
Yeah, like though is it me or does Pim kind of remind anyone of Wallace from Wallace and Gromit? Like he's positive, but at the same time he's kind of laid back at the same time, and I kind of like that. Like
Yeah.
I can see that.
Usually with like a lot of positive characters, like usually like very loud and energetic, and that's good. That can be good for a lot of characters like SpongeBob or Mabel. But like other than that, we just see characters like Pim or Wallace who are just like happy, but at the same time just laid back, like kind of like Winnie the Pooh in a way, which is
Yeah.
kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget that while he has a very like childlike optimism about him, he is like in his early 30s, so like it's a bit more subdued than what you would assume.
Right, he's kind of a man-child.
Yeah. And I believe Charlie is in his like late 20s, so that's kind of interesting that Pim is confirmed to be older.
Oh, yeah.
And they also, by the way, when they finished off that live action bit at the end of the episode, they were originally going to have him actually be completely butt naked when the camera came up. They're like, no, we should probably put some underwear on him.
Yeah.
Adult Swim does have standards. They're low, but they have them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is a real law code that he was listing off about loitering that they looked up in Philadelphia. So they did their research there.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Episode 5.
Who
Episode
privately
5.
murdered Diamond S. Salty? I love this one.
Yep.
Oh,
The
this
show's Who Done
silly
It.
characters. The silly characters of the episode. Like
Yes.
they wanted to take it as far as they could.
Yeah, they were doing a twist on the Agatha Christie formula, including her most famous twist, but then they put a twist on the twist.
Yeah. I just want to say,
they talked about. Oh, yeah, we'll get to that at the end, but you say that first.
yeah. So like the way this episode starts, I really enjoy because I just like seeing Charlie and Pim hang out as regular friends outside of work, and just having mundane conversations about a movie they just saw.
Yeah, it's good to know they are friends outside of work because there are a lot of cases where famous people who work well on camera don't get along in real life. So it's nice to know these guys do.
Mm-hmm.
It helps that Zach and Michael are real friends as well, so that probably is what helps it feel genuine. Because like a lot of the like improv feeling dialogue moments in this show, like that was it because it was like COVID happening at the time and they're all like working from home. Like those were like genuine conversations that they recorded like over Discord, and they were like both recording on their ends, and that's why it feels so genuine, because like they actually came up with it on the spot, especially for another.
That reminds me of how Mouse Madness started.
Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
That's pretty cool.
So, and yes, you're absolutely right. Like they're Zach and Michael's main focus for season 1 was making sure the Pim and Charlie dynamic was as like fleshed out as possible before moving on to different avenues and like different characters. And so that's why Pim and Charlie are normally the stars for each of the episodes, and it's like there's less like back and forth in terms of the story going all over the place as it goes on.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, this one has some very, very funny gags. Like the sentry egg is a good highlight for me, because like they get down there, they find him. He's like, and now you know my cool fucking backstory. Like that was a cool backstory.
Yeah.
And there's like, you must bury me in China, and Charles like, oh yeah, we'll definitely take you to China, like sounding like not genuine at all, but they actually do go all the way to China just to bury him,
And then they eat him.
Well, you have to try it at least once.
Yeah.
Is the sentry egg a real thing? That's just asking to be food poisoning.
It is actually a real thing, like burying an egg for 100 days, but like I guess there's like different styles to it.
I wouldn't want to eat one.
Yeah,
it seems a little unhygienic.
Little risky. Not as unhygienic as Salty's in general.
True.
Where he was forced to make a cucumber sandwich, or the head, just the terrifying like nacho thing head.
Yes.
Oh,
And the sad part is, Salty was actually gonna turn his life around before his end.
Untimely death.
Yeah.
This is it. My last burger before I start eating healthy. Oh, heart attack. And they were pretty proud of themselves, like thinking like everyone actually did it, but no one did it. But then they realized that, oh wait, this is actually a twist that has been done several other times. But like Grease actually did it. Like nobody suspected Grease. The character that had a very like country bumpkin voice of them. I could have done it. Oh well, did you? No, but I could have.
Yeah. I just love how when they're all exonerated, they just celebrate by doing what Eagles fans do when they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and like, and Pim and Charlie are just acting like, oh, that's just that good old stuff. They're just so casually happy about this.
Yeah, like next time, I'm picking the restaurant.
It's funny. This is like the only episode this season to have a death by natural causes. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
And and another good bit of foreshadowing. They're like what are they, like the Bimbley twins?
Yeah, the ones who just speak in.
They're speaking in Spanish. Like it's actually a foreshadowing to
a later season 2 episode
when we get to go to Spantopia.
Yep. You
wouldn't know it.
Yeah, the world building here is better than you'd expect from a sitcom. They actually do.
And it explains why Pim was actually able to understand their story, and Charlie was like, "There's no way you understood all that." What?
Yeah.
But he actually did.
Yeah. And I don't have a ton to talk about with this episode. It's just
just a
very
silly one.
Straightforward twist on a twist.
I got a bit of crap for my Smiling Friends video for making the thumbnail the image of Charlie holding up the key and like looking forward with his belly button out. I had like a red arrow and red circle around his belly button, like look at the belly button, that's important, because I was making fun of thumbnails that did that. But there were people that took that thumbnail like way too seriously. Like, why is that red arrow pointing at his belly button? It doesn't make any sense. You guys, it's like, oh wow, like you guys, that joke went right It went right by you, flew past you.
I thought they would have taken the bait and tried to theorize about the belly button.
Yeah, it made some people genuinely angry, which I think is hilarious.
No, I would have been angry because you should not subject people to front-facing Charlie.
Yeah, there's another great bit that happens later that we'll get to where like they keep playing with just like how cursed like cartoon characters could be when they're not in their correct design that we're seeing them from. Like Gumball did a very similar thing. And also Family Guy, like when Stewie's on the penny or whatever. Like, by the way, you look very weird, like from your profile.
All right, episode 6, The Enchanted Forest.
My favorite season 1 episode because
this is a classic.
It has the most famous meme from the show.
Oh yes, that's right. It sort of that meme, like it's kind of evolved beyond just that line, and it ended up being used for like a wide variety of templates. Where just like
a sort of sarcastic response of disbelief.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of that line in the episode is that there's no way Charlie would have known it unless Pim included that detail.
Yes, exactly. And just it's so somebody could be like to us, you guys have a podcast talking about cartoons? Just like very, very just straight laced. And then and I think what I love most about this episode is the character arcs that they both go through. It feels like a very complete story, unlike most the comedic romps.
Funny because the actual client in this episode the princess only gets a minute and a half of screen time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love how it ties back into the Sideman who accompanied them.
Right.
Like that twist was great.
He's totally the Rankin Bass Hobbit. Like he's a trace from it.
He is animated by David Firth. Let me make sure. Actually, let me make sure about that so that I get that right. You guys keep talking.
Okay. Do any of you guys have any experience growing up with the Rankin Bass Hobbit?
I saw it when I was younger. Barely remember it.
Okay, I just verified. Harry Partridge and his team animated MIP. And if it wasn't for them, they confirmed that they would have just scrapped the episode entirely because like the concept would not have worked if they couldn't translate that style like one to one.
Well, thank goodness they got them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you what you said before. What'd you say your thoughts were on the Rankin Bass Hobbit?
I haven't seen it in a while.
Okay.
And bit of a not to be confused with the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings movie that came out, which only was like a year like apart from the Ralph Bakshi ones. Funny how the movie industry works.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I think what I like about this episode, it's the one episode where we actually see Pim kind of snap. And, it's become very common lately, especially in animation, where, the happy character suddenly snaps. And, like, everyone really likes that. I'm honestly getting kind of tired of it because it's used so often. I'm kind of glad that this is the only episode where that happens, unless you count the pilot where he was just, in a daze. But
yeah, just like existential crisis.
Right.
Yeah, like I also like the bit where they get captured by a witch and like they're terrified what she's gonna do to them, but she's because the food. There's like, oh yeah, she's really good at cutting that food. Yeah, she is.
Oh yeah, this clip also, I love that clip too. It was a sneak peek to the episode like before the season even came out. Like that, it was when Charlie was like, "Chad, another which Chad will it be?" This is the most obnoxious thing I've ever experienced in my life. Like when that line made me be like, okay, Smiling Friends is gonna be a certified classic, and like no doubt about it. If that's the kind of humor we could expect.
This one kind of struck my love of LARPing and how there's some people really get into it, and some people were just in it for the fun, because their friends made them or because they got dragged into it. But sometimes the people who are just there with their friends are the ones who end up winning and do the most and participate the most.
Mm-hmm. And it just like the fantasy world, they confirm that the creatures that live there are also their own species. But even that is like completely inconsistent because you got just like, oh come on, like that one's an alien. That one's not even fantasy.
The line of fantasy is just kind of blurred.
Oh, so sci-fi kind of counts.
Yeah.
And,
we have science fantasy as a genre after all. Star Wars.
Yeah.
Also, the little ditty that Mip sings, that is completely improvised, like by Michael Cusack. Like it was never written on a piece of paper. He just like somebody like did the instrumental beforehand, and then he just like went wild, like trying to do a temp track. It was supposed to be a temp track, but then they're like, oh, that's funny. Let's just put it in. It's just about Charlie did Pim was there, but mostly Charlie did the stuff. It's just so good. That's because it's just like perfectly describing what's happening on screen.
Yeah, and there is actually some self foreshadowing that Mip is a bad guy.
Oh yeah, just like because like first of all, Mip. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it's Pim spelled backwards, which is already suspicious. And is a very like special device that he made. Like what could it be? We don't know. Like we're not allowed to like see it. So
Rule number one of LARPing: never accept potions from strangers.
Oh yeah, they confirmed in the comments
the hard way.
They confirmed in the commentary that it was just rat poison.
Oh dear.
I mean, at least it got rid of his headache.
Yeah, his headache was completely gone.
Yeah.
Is why does he look like that? Oh, probably because of a strange potion that he took from somebody in the forest.
I'm pretty sure it's just allergies, you guys. All right, episode 7, Frowning Friends, the obligatory reversal episode.
Yeah, I love how this one's kind of just a refutation of the nihilism. It's just like that's been done for the past decade. We've been over the head, but no, we can totally be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just like immediately proved him wrong by showing that, oh wait, shit, like if these nihilists actually were like held at gunpoint, they probably would piss their pants in fear.
Right.
The person holding the gun would be like, relax, I was just gonna shoot you and kill you.
I'm pretty sure the nihilists from The Big Lebowski were the same way. Like just a bunch of whiners instead of having an actual ideology.
Right, yeah. They just pretend to be Nazis because it's cool and in vogue.
Yep.
And
like
the helium thing is sort of true, but also not. It's one of those things where they intentionally wanted to make you be like, wait, is that actually like try to see how many people they could get to look that up.
I just want to say 3D Squilton is probably my favorite one-off, not that important character.
Yes, another Harry Partridge, voiced by him character, and he's wonderful. We always see him sitting down.
Yes,
Dude, I looked up what they said about the helium, and that's true. Like, it's all true.
Oh no! Do we
like
need
in real life?
Like, guys, do we need balloons that much? Like, we got a helium crisis
They
here.
use them for X-rays.
Yeah. I personally can't stand balloons, so deplete it away.
Right.
But yeah, close second goes to DJ Slim. DJ Spit. DJ Spit.
I could see DJ Slim though. Like that is the character that I would show to any outsider to be like, I can only show them a minute of Smiling Friends right now. Check this guy out. And it's like, I'm trying to be a SoundCloud artist, man, but like no one's listening to my friggin' shit, man.
Right. But I will say this though: the Renaissance man, their aesthetic is clearly medieval, not Renaissance.
And that is another conversation that they said that was basically stress writing. They didn't know how to start the episode, and they also didn't know like how to actually get rid of the frowning friends at the end, because they were like, these aren't characters we want to keep around. And it was originally the conversation was supposed to be them talking about a UFO abduction or something, but then
that wouldn't have been as fun.
Yeah, they literally got over Discord, and Zach started talking about the Renaissance Men, and the reactions you hear from Pim, that's him genuinely being like, what are you talking about? Like him actually is trying to figure out what the Renaissance Men are. Like, that wasn't acting. That was a genuine conversation between the two.
Yeah.
And then they so brilliantly brought it back, like at the very end, like you completely forgot about them. Like, oh yeah, the Renaissance Men are in town. It's like, but that's not Renaissance Men. Like, that's a different era. Like, why
They're
I didn't know they were gonna shoot them. Raw.
I should point out that like not too long ago, on Twitter, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, I took a clip of Being the Beast where Gaston is fighting the Beast, and I took audio from that episode of Frowning Friends, and like where Gaston is like acting scary, but then he goes right back to being a coward. I put in that audio of Pim crying. It's like, I'm like,
that's kind of cringe, dude.
what?
Gnarly, his response there.
What do you mean?
That was his response. That's kind of cringe,
yeah,
dude.
Yeah, when Grim started peeing his pants, Gnarly was like, kind of cringe.
Yeah, and like, what was it? Oh, you guys thought what I did was funny though?
No, what you did was funny. I didn't. I hope I didn't want. I wasn't saying that about your thing.
Okay, I was just asking. And
sorry about the confusion there.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's fine. But didn't he say something about attacking the state, and like one of the people actually was agreeing with him about it?
Yeah, they're like, we can finally wipe out the Puerto Ricans.
Yeah,
I mean, make everyone frown. Yeah.
Yeah, that was their mask off moment. It was where we realized that the Nihilists had ulterior motives, just like most of them do.
Yeah. And oh god, like that's another great character. Like, what's his? I think his name is literally just Mr. Man. And he's just like, well, the shape of my head causes me constant anguish. Do you think I should get cheering up from that? That's Lyle Rath, who is another frequent collaborator on Oni Plays. Like, this dude, like, if you guys haven't seen his YouTube channel, The Wrath Club, one of the funniest dudes. Like, honestly, like, I love like the delivery of his voice, and it makes. See, he like so effortlessly fits into the Smiley Friends universe. And just like a lot of Only Plays fans like to speculate that the Puerto Rican bit was just they just like recorded him like off duty. That's just what he actually thinks.
Oh no!
Because he'll say ridiculous shit like that all the time.
This episode also has one of the better meme templates, where they're looking at all the atrocities of the world, and Charlie's just like,
yeah.
Dude, I've seen worse on the internet.
Like, God, like, it is insane how many incredible jokes are in this episode. Like this really is an iconic, and I dare I say iconic episode.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not one of my favorites story-wise, because like I know it was intentional, but like they clearly like downplayed the whole rivalry aspect, like, which, you know, is like, it's fine, but like didn't stick with me as much. But like the jokes are like some of the best, like, and it's just like nonstop, and like some of my favorite side characters in this as well. And I like how they immediately figure out too that it's Grim and Gnarly like going around. Like normally most episodes when they do this, it would take a while for the main characters to figure out like what's going on and like why there's you know, like a bunch of confusion of like why their reputation is like going away from them. But like they were me like, oh no, like, I see what's happening here, because like, yeah, like it's obvious.
Yeah.
Next one, the first episode I saw this. Charlie dies and does not come back.
The Christmas episode, if you will.
Christmas!
Yeah,
they sure do love trolling with those titles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. That's an interesting first one to do.
Yeah, but it was kind of weird just noticing it, getting through the humor, and they got the nerd.
Yep, for a single frame.
For a single frame.
Yeah.
Didn't people think that he voiced the devil?
Yes, and I still get comments on my video because I said that I like how Satan is also voiced by Zach, and he's also playing the same video game that Charlie was playing at the beginning, Rust, for those who don't know, and to show like the parallelism of how they were just like both down in the dumps in similar ways. But when I said that, people were like, actually, it was Angry Video Game Nerd, according to this video. that video got a bunch of the voice actors wrong, by the way, because they also said Chris O'Neill voiced Warren Buffett from the last episode when Mr. Boss was hallucinating everybody. Like, no, that was just Michael, because Michael and Zach voiced everybody.
They don't even sound similar.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like all you have to do is pitch the voice down, and it's just his normal speaking voice. He doesn't really like put on anything.
Right. But also another voice, I think Yojak's gonna like this one. This was the last project Gilbert Gottfried lived to see.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man. Now, what a perfect way to like see for Gilbert Gottfried to see like one of his final projects, just him voicing God. Like, man,
they truly put the God. They truly put the God in Gottfried.
Yeah.
Yes. Like when I heard this was one of his final projects, I'm like, man, what a way to end his career.
And they apparently like recorded it over Zoom or something as well, and there was like a bunch of background noise and like a smoke detector going off that they had to like take out in post and like make sure the music was covering it. Like, it was not good audio quality at all, but they made it work.
It surprised me though. Like, I thought his voice was like pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Honestly.
Like I leapt out of my chair in like complete just like wonder and just pure bliss when I heard him start to talk. A deal's a deal. Like, oh,
Quickly, Charlie,
curses foiled again.
Right. And I think also I saw this one also at the puppet one. I think this had the best use of the puppets.
Yes, I love the puppet episodes. That was such a good April Fool's joke.
Yeah, we'll get there later. But yeah, this one had the best use of puppets. Charlie is confirmed a practicing Roman Catholic. I mean, he's met both God and the devil, so makes sense.
Yeah,
also,
it makes sense because he had like a crucifix on, like necklace, as we saw back in the Mr. Frog episode when he was hanging out in the hot tub.
Oh yeah.
Gilbert Gottfried was also Santa Claus on Billy and Mandy, another funny Christmas special.
Indeed. So nice to see him spreading Christmas cheer, even now. So
right. Nice, of course, the joke is that Charlie does come back, like you would really do it.
Yeah,
like
it's a Christmas miracle.
I loved that line.
So, Kara, did you like see this before or after Gilbert Gottfried passed away?
I saw it like when it aired. So probably I don't remember when he died.
It was in April.
So yes, it was before. And
Man, like that news like really like just like broke my heart when I found out.
Oh yeah, and oh god, and it's funny. They were lamenting on the commentary. They're like, we thought we would have the honor of saying that we were the last thing Gilbert Gottfried lent his voice to, but then a million other projects with his voice like came out afterwards, because we were like, oh yeah, this is the guy who voices like 100 projects a year or whatever. So of course he was going to be in other things.
Because he's got such a distinctive voice that they couldn't get anyone else. So yeah,
we were the last project Gilbert Gottfried played a otherworldly being that threw a yellow creature back to Earth in.
Yeah, like I was watching Family Guy like last year, and Stewie like almost traumatized, and all of a sudden he turns into Gilbert Gottfried, just goes, Gilbert Gottfried, I was fleeing from that for no reason.
Didn't he also voice a horse like randomly?
Yeah, like, and he also voiced the dog whistle.
Oh yeah, dog whistle.
Classic.
Yeah.
But now back to this episode. This is where they really cemented the the most infamous style of humor, I think, to come out of this show, the realistic conversations and arguments. Like it all can like be pointed back to when they're trying to get the tree, and Pym is just like is trying to keep everyone's spirits up, but like Charlie just isn't having it, and like everything's just like let out here, and it's like a very relatable thing. Like sometimes, like in your friend groups, like you just like you've been holding on to something for so long, you're just like, okay, you can't help but like kind of attack someone's character, even when that's not necessarily the issue. But I saw a very good comment about this, that for Pym, this is like his Christmas celebration. Like we see that he doesn't have a very good home life, and his friends probably mean a lot more to him than it does like with anybody else in the company who like have other people and like other like lives outside of it. And so when Charlie's like so down about this mission, where Pym is seeing it as one last chance to hang out like before Christmas, it's like it's almost like he's attacking that, and like in a sense like attacking like Pym's own happiness too. And so that's why he sort of lashes out, and like nobody's really like truly in the wrong here. It's just a very realistic human moment that these critters are having. And yeah, then until like Charlie dies,
Right.
very very abruptly.
Yeah.
So God, like I don't know like how much of that was like actually written in the script or like was improvised, but it just goes to show like how well thought out like the characters are.
Right, and this depiction of hell is kind of ingenious in a way because it's a void, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's literally frozen over. And this is Jeremy. He'll be your only form of hellish entertainment. That's another classic character that people love. Like, dude, I told you if you did that again, I was gonna punch you.
And then when Charlie's getting tortured at the end, he comes back.
Yeah.
Very, so good, so good. And yeah, and of course, they also mentioned how like the little office that that the devil has was very much reminiscent of the offices that everyone in the crew had been working with, like because of just the pandemic in general, and just like they got their multiple computer screens and Gmail open on one monitor, and just like trash all littered about, having very awkward conversations with like the Uber Eats.
Mm-hmm.
Like Merry Christmas.
Right. Even though, again, this came out in January, though it is probably the one that came out closest in proximity to the holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys know Mike Lazo?
I've heard the
Like
name.
Lasso. The name sounds familiar.
Television producer, the former executive vice president for Adult Swim.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
And this episode includes the final shot that he ever animated in his career before retiring.
Really?
And yeah, do you guys want to guess what it is, or should I just tell you?
Charlie being thrown back to Earth?
Was it Charlie's
no.
grandmother?
No.
Uh-huh.
It was. Do you want to guess, Jackson?
What?
What was the final shot that you think he animated?
Final shot of who? Mike Lasso?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mike Lazo.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, it was Jeremy's little death rattle, like holding on to his gut after being punched by Charlie, like.
Oh,
That was the final
that's cool.
shot that he animated of his career, which I think is really awesome.
What a way to go out.
That is cool.
And I definitely I agree with you. Like the ending is very nice, and it, like as opposed to their Halloween one, which was more about like the shock value.
Mhm.
Like with Christmas, they genuinely wanted to have like a happy note. And like even though like Charlie was naked the whole time, it was nice to see it was nice to see him like reunited with everybody.
Yeah, for an
Despite-
episode called Charlie Dies and Never Comes Back, they gave him a nice ending and bringing him back.
Yeah.
Like I can't even begin to describe what happened to me, Pym. So I'm not even going to. Like I seen the devil, man. And fun fact, the GLEP, who he was voiced by Joshua Tomar in this episode, like for the final portion. It's like the end. And another collaborator on Oni Plays, another like prolific voice actor, and also famously Jewish. Like he is like 99% Ashkenazi Jewish, and they intentionally had him read the line of being like, "Yep, Christianity was right."
Well, hey, Sammy
hell
gave
is
his
real.
junior recorded a Christmas album despite being Jewish, so it works.
That's true. That is true. Oh, Merry Christmas, everyone!
Yeah. So we ready for the next one? The Smiling Friends go to Brazil. Nick, you had a funny personal story with this. Care to share it?
Okay, so I'm just going to say right off the bat, this is my favorite episode. It's probably an unpopular opinion, but I'll tell you why. So, you know how the big thing of this show is just the characters having these realistic conversations? That is literally all this episode is. And the way that the title frames it, and even the way the description describes it, you expect it to be something much different, but no, they're just at the airport, talking about what they're going to do, realizing they haven't booked their hotel, and trying to find solutions. And my personal story is that I've actually been in that situation almost exactly.
Oh no!
Yeah, so last year I was driving from Louisville up to Chicago, and I actually got a flat tire in Indianapolis. And not a puncture flat, it was a bent rim. Those are much harder to fix. So I'm not going to go into all the details, but long story short, I was scrambling through the north side of Indy trying to find a place to fix my tire. And they told me, I found a place, they told me that they could fix it, but the technician was out and they weren't sure that he would be back until Monday. And this was on a Friday.
Oh god.
So, like, honestly, my favorite scene in this episode is the phone call that they make to Mr. Boss when they're just trying a last effort solution. I have been on both sides of that phone call. It is the least fun experience you will ever have. The way it relates to my story is that I decided the only way I was going to get up to Chicago to see my family for the weekend is if I rent a car. So I called up a car rental place, told them my situation, said I wanted to rent. Then they asked if I had a credit card so that they could put on file for liability reasons, and I didn't. At that time, I didn't. And they told me that there was nothing that they could do. They couldn't rent me the car. That hurt so much because I was like back at square one. And I also felt bad for the people at the rental because they're just following policy. If they wanted to help, they could, but there was nothing that they could do. So yeah, to say that I relate to this episode is an understatement, and that's why it's my favorite episode. I'm usually not on the relatable equals good. I'm making an exception here. This was so real, so close to what I experienced, and thankfully it's an experience I can laugh at now. So
what happened? So how'd your story end?
I just called another rental place, and they didn't require a credit card.
Okay.
Oh, that's very good. Very
Okay.
Your
good.
story ends happier than the Smiling Friends.
Yeah, Smiling Friends just cut their losses.
Yeah, that's probably pretty smart. I had a similar story about trips, but a lot of them were just trips getting canceled before we went. This title is not false advertising. The Smiling Friends do go to Brazil.
Yes.
Yes. The description absolutely is false advertising. Like you guys, you need to read the descriptions of every episode. Like they are also like jokes in and of themselves. Like they're like perfect, like trolling ideas. It's like so, like it shows like the sense of humor that these guys have. Like frowning friends. A rival business moves across the street, much to the boss's dismay. Nuff said. That's the description.
Yeah.
What's the one for this one?
Okay. It is the smiling friends relax in a beautiful beach town. Pim works on his novel. Charlie binges shows. And wait, hold on. Let me. It cuts off on HBO Max. So I need to.
Shows on vacation? That's a waste.
Oh, okay. No, dang it. Yeah, I can find it. I can find it. You guys keep going.
Yeah.
I think
But
the other thing that makes this episode work is all the background gags. Like at one point where they're standing near the walking sidewalk, you can see Mr. Frog playing on a TV in the background.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
This is all done in one continuous take, so they had to make it more pop even more and have all the background events go on.
I think my second favorite conversation is when the guy comes up to them, like asking them for money. Because I've also been in that situation when I was downtown with my brothers. I've had people
voiced by Mark M, also Mr. Boss.
Oh, nice. It's like, hey, take care, man. Dude, when he moved his hand, I thought he was going to slap me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Although
I have the final sentence, by the way. Alan and Gleb enjoy some long-awaited chill-out time at the beach.
Oh, dear.
This episode came out 7 months after season 1, all premiered. It took 7. We waited 7 months for this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of people compared this to Foster's Go to Europe, where they do not go to Europe.
Yeah, but they do go to Brazil here. They just don't leave the airport.
Yeah, that's right.
True.
I was kind of reminded of something that happened through Vancouver, where they were trying to hold me up in customs, but fortunately we were able to get that sorted out.
Oh, by the way, do you think the plane that crashed at the end was the flight that they were planning to take back?
Yeah,
I've seen
I
people
was talking-
speculate.
I was talking about that with my roommate. We were thinking, how crazy would it be if season 2 was all about them actually being stuck in Brazil and trying to get out because of the airport being shut down from the possible terrorist attack. And that it was an incredible payoff to all of the just mundaneness of everything. And this episode is kind of a phenomenon, how they were able to make it work, and just it's so uncomfortable and so genuine. And when they call Mr. Boss up on the phone, they actually called up his voice actor on his cell phone, that cell phone audio that you're hearing, and that was it. So that's why that felt so real too. And they and everyone, there are little side plots that everybody is worried about, how they never pay for the fries when they go to the restaurant, and Gleb's the only one who actually eats any of them.
I love Gleb in his tiny suitcase. That's cute.
Yeah. But Gleb is just a little scrunkly. He's just there.
Yeah.
And the only member of Smiling Friends who's married.
I have a question. Would you recommend this as someone's first Smiling Friends episode or not?
No, absolutely
I would
not.
never. I
You
would
need to
never
appreciate-
start somebody.
Yeah, you need to appreciate their sense of humor and know about it, and also have the idea of the bait and switch.
Because
You can't have. Oh, sorry.
Because I have a bit of a confession to make.
Oh God. Was this your first episode?
Yeah, remember when I talked about Mr. Frog saying how there was one other episode I saw before that episode got me hooked?
This was it?
Yes.
Gasp.
I have to know, did this episode relatively recently come out when you had seen it, at the time?
I think so. And when I saw it, I wasn't exactly the biggest fan of it, but I actually rewatched it today to see now that I know a lot about Smiling Friends, I should probably give this episode another chance. And it got better. It's not my favorite, but I'm just yeah, I definitely do see the appeal of this one now.
Yeah. You have to be ingratiated to these characters first for it to really work.
Right.
You have to know the sense of humor, and you have to know the idea of what's going on, and you have to appreciate a little bit of their conversations, and also know about the bait and switch.
Right. I think this is actually the second lowest rated episode on IMDb. Which,
ouch.
It doesn't surprise me. It's still a high 7, I think.
Yeah. There's only one other that's rated slightly lower, which we'll get to very shortly.
So yeah, that's season 1, and we are almost an hour and a half into this. Good God.
Yeah.
I think we should try to kind of speed up the pace for season 2, because we get the idea for season 1.
Yeah, because I have less things to say about season 2 anyway.
Yeah, nothing that we haven't already said.
Something
Right.
I want to bring up is the release schedule and how I vastly prefer the way it's handled for season 2 over season 1, because with season 1, everything got released all at once as an April Fool's gag, like at night, and which at the time, super hype, super cool. But then after that, it was just like we ended up going for so long without Smiling Friends content because they gave us everything, and it was kind of like overwhelming. But this season, they released the season premiere on April Fool's Day, and it is so good that they did that without like having everything else like be all at once, because Gwimbly took over the internet. He took the internet by storm.
Right,
It
but
was
also again, there
was so
was a
much
bit of a
awesome.
bait. But again, there was also another bait and switch here. They showed the puppet remakes of 3 of the most popular
Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah.
So you're like,
Yes.
okay, that's fine. It's nice. Not one of Adult Swim's better pranks, but okay, crazy. But then you stay tuned. He kept it on just a little longer, and then boom, season premiere.
Yeah, with the episode
Gwimbly.
Gwimbly Definitive Remastered Enhanced Extended Edition Deluxe 4K Anniversary Director's Cut.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like Gimli.
this-
Oh man, this character looks like he came straight out of a PS1 game. Like it takes me back to Spyro the Dragon and Crash Bandicoot, man. I swear.
Yeah.
Like
there is so much fan art of this character online, of people like acting like he's actually been around since the 90s, and like he's this beloved childhood character that people want to see like back in the limelight again, which is so heartwarming, and like so, because like he could be a stand-in for practically any video game character that was big at that, like when platformers were huge, and
I
it's
think
like been kind of left
Rayman.
on the wayside.
Rayman
Yeah,
is the
Rayman.
one that's closest.
The Banjo and Kazooie is another big one as well, especially with the Smash Brothers ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just love the CEO as a villain. He's constantly
Right.
eating
Yeah.
chicken nuggets, finding whatever he can to dip them in, and it also
No,
has
it is
one of the
my IP for me to sit on and do nothing with.
as a
Yeah.
Jack and Daxter fan, that hurts.
That
He's
spoke to me.
He's basically the go-to image that people use on Twitter anytime a CEO for a video game does something boneheaded. They're like,
And don't forget who the CEO of Adult Swim is, or the parent company.
And
what cracks me up is that when he gets fucking stabbed in the head, like he starts bleeding, he just gets out the nut and just like.
he died doing what he loved.
And
Also voiced by Lyle Rath, by the way. Very good vocal chameleon there.
yeah, big dub to James for killing him.
Like James is an anomaly of a character, by the way. He just shows up. Like, by the way, people realize that he was the person who got that cameo from Gwimbly.
Right.
Which, by the way, I love the presentation of that. It's like it felt like every cameo you ever see, and like just like the stark change in the art style too. Like whoa, like hyper detailed, like background, and then. Oh my gosh! He just comes in. He's like a complete menace, and like he rips Charlie's nose off. You're like, what is this dude's deal? And just like, okay, I just need to kill a guy. I'm good. And then like you see his actual home life. It's like, you did it again. You threw away the one guy that gave a damn about you. It's like, what is this guy's deal? I need to know his backstory.
Like that is something really funny about the guy. Like, even though this guy is like mentally disturbed and like looks like he's taking advantage of Charlie, at the same time you can tell like he kind of does genuinely want to smile. He just has a really terrible way of showing it.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like that end credit scene especially helped like tie it all together. It's like, okay, like man, like
who the hell?
there's
like,
something wrong with this guy.
Yeah.
Why does he care about Charlie so much?
It raises more questions than it answers, honestly.
yeah. And like, guy, I had my nose ripped off. I did not have any fun at all. And a bit of a comeuppance there as well, since like he refused to go like help Gwimbly in the first place, and so like because of that he was forced to deal with an actual customer. And look, because Gwimbly technically like didn't call for their services, like he didn't have the iconic like smiling moment at the end. James did, because he was the secret customer all along.
Yeah. And again, another perfectly cut scream after his nose gets ripped off.
Yeah.
and of course it has probably one of my favorite endings with get some ood you.
Nice callback to the intro.
Yeah, like, when they had that conversation at the beginning, which was our first like reintroduction to them after over a year of no Smiling Friends. I was like, oh, good. Like everything is exactly as I was expecting, and this is definitely going to be brought up at the end.
Yeah.
It's just like, he's just in the video game for no reason. It's like, yep, I was just doing a bunch of motion capture and stuff. A bunch of like actual Smash players commented on how Wembley has a very overpowered forward tilt because it like killed Trogdor very quickly in the middle of the stage at like 50%. Troglore. My bad.
Yeah. All right.
I was thinking of the dragon from Homestar Runner.
Sorry, yeah. Well, next up is Mr. President, the one that's kind of weirdly aged.
This is the lowest rated episode.
Yes.
I don't blame it. I don't like President Jimble. The fact that he's live action makes him way more disgusting than I think they intended.
He's played by Harry Partridge, I think.
I'm checking on that. Mike Bacchetti is his name.
Oh.
I
thought they get something. Maybe this was the role they planned for Chris Chan.
Maybe. I remember it being a rumor that he was supposed to also play the grease puddle from the mystery episode.
Oh, really?
I will give Mike credit for, being a good sport about being as disgusting looking as possible, which, like, that does take balls to a certain extent to, like, have yourself painted in such a crazy light. And this episode does have some good jokes. Like they were able to translate the turn the TV on, it doesn't matter what channel bit from a Worms playthrough. Funnily enough, like a lot of the Worms playthroughs have like only play jokes that show up here. And I also like the bit of him like trying to order some napkins, but accidentally launching nuclear missiles. And
then the Worms being the Illuminati, which makes that one gag from the shrimp episode kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it was supposed to be a video game called Worm Odyssey, but we got Shrimp Odyssey instead. Like that, and for those curious. This is the episode also that fully sold me on like Mr. Frog as a character, whereas I didn't quite get him before, but then when I saw him like being an absolute menace and like not even caring about anything, I was like, oh, I get it now. This is awesome. And just
also at the end it's revealed that Glep and I share a birthday.
Oh really?
Nice.
Yeah, you know that because they share his name, date of birth, and social security number.
You guys have the same IP address as well? Go ahead and confirm for us, please. What was oh yeah, I was disappointed that Mr. Frog wasn't in more of this episode. I hope that because he's president now, that means he's going to be making more appearances in later episodes.
We can only hope.
Yeah, like America could really use Mr. Frog. Like he's a president that takes action.
Now, Mr. Frog, tell us, why are you so evil? You have 1 second to answer.
Hello.
Time's up, and also you're wrong.
I'm Mr. Frog, and I approve this message.
Just
actually,
kidding.
Fuck you.
And then after that. Yeah, and then after that we have the Alan adventure, which is pretty funny because of the twist of the plot.
I was hoping you would get an Alan episode, and this one did not disappoint.
I like the jokes they have about Pim and Charlie, how they're talking about how great their adventure was and how they had all this.
I love the landlord.
I
was just wondering if you wanted to hang out with me and smoke weed and fill our bellies with dye and soda and play Burnout Revenge for the PS2.
And they get actual footage of the game. The only stipulation was that they had to remove the EA logo from the box art.
Oh yeah.
Which is awesome.
I would just love the way the landlord just says like the PS2. Like I just love the way he says that.
It's like you could clearly tell it's Zach, but at the same time it sounds nothing like him, which I think is so baffling about his voice. It's like I can hear his voice in it, but like, how is that coming out of his mouth? It's like, I spent $750,000 and it took 8 months of planning, all so you could get in the palm of my hands.
You know what makes that funnier is that he even asked him like earlier that morning.
Yeah, he tried to give him one last chance.
Yeah, but about that guy with the paper clips. What really cracked me up, and these are kind of jokes I try to think of. These are jokes I'm jealous of because the guy says. He said, remember, these paper clips, have a little stick thing right here that I use. Oh, by the way, this isn't a flashback. I actually died after you left, and I'm going back to hell.
It ties back to how strict it is to get into heaven in this universe, because all Charlie's grandmother did was say "damn" when her husband was being shot. So he seemed like such an innocent old man, but oh no, he must have cut somebody in line at a Walmart or something once, and that's why he's in hell.
Probably. What a menace.
And he probably got robbed right after Charlie left, because he was like, "Oh, please don't rob me!" Right when Charlie came in.
Oh, and let's not forget the grand return of DJ Spit.
Yes, that made me so hyped, because DJ Spit, he is one of my favorites, and he managed to come in for the most well-animated action scene of the entire show. I don't know how they did that or why they did that, but I'm so glad they did it. They felt like I was watching a movie. Imagine a Smiling Friends movie.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
yes.
And it's just in the style of Smiling Friends Go to Brazil. That'd be a great troll.
Yeah, it's like the Brazil episode, but a much higher budget. Speaking of which, I believe they said the entire budget of season 1 was equivalent to one Family Guy episode.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I think my favorite background gag in this episode is when the office supply store didn't have any paper clips, but they sold clipless paper.
Yes, that's great. And they have a Spider-Man doing stacking, while the boss, also voiced by Joshua Tomar, has no arms.
Yeah, I noticed that on my second viewing.
I didn't notice it the first time I watched, so I was like, oh, I guess that's why he's working here.
Yep, another way that repeated watches benefit you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I knew that.
Because it's funny, because even though Alan is the star of this episode, it's really not about him at all. He's just sort of having to passively witness all of these insane things happening while he's just trying to do his job.
Right, he comes across Bigfoot, ghost pirates, that aforementioned
the
helicopter
sea monster.
Yeah, you'll love it.
I think which speaks volumes about his character more than you would assume, because it's he may not be the most enthusiastic guy, but he will do whatever it takes to see his mission through to the end, which is very admirable.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't take crap from anyone. Even after all that, he still refused to hang out with the landlord, even threatening to punch him.
Yeah, honestly, the ending kind of made me feel sad for Mr. Boss.
Yeah.
He just wanted Alan to have his little statue of him, and
yeah, it's I don't really want that. I saw some fun. So many people are debating whether or not the little version of Mr. Boss is alive or not. But it's very, very ambiguous whether he is. We don't see him blink, but he looks way too real at the same time. So it's what's going on there?
It's kind of like that one quote statue in the next episode.
Yeah, the boss finds love. Good segue.
Yeah.
The boss finds love, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty funny. This one also set the internet on fire, but for some different reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that the cameos are very important to this show, and so with this one, everyone knew it was probably a matter of time, especially because if you're an Only Plays guy, you'll know that they talk about Channel Awesome for the compilations go on for hours. How much they talk.
They got in trouble with Linkara famously.
Yeah, because they kept calling him the Lightbringer, and that pissed him off. But there was another person that they frequently poked fun at, who was much more in on the joke, and that's why he's here today. Yeah. It is the Demon Slayer,
Daniel the Demon Slayer.
Personally, I thought the joke was fun. The funniest part of the joke was how they had to skip the majority of the video for the information they wanted.
Yeah.
That joke was hilarious.
I do love the detail that the actual video is just a little over 8 minutes long, which is the minimum you need to have in order for mid rolls to be implemented.
Right. And 95% of that is the ad.
Dollar Shave Club, like skip. Like there are, and also that robot like girl, like I forget what the name of it is. The smile robot or something.
Yeah.
But also makes a cameo here. It's like a very creepy like video.
That's a jump scare that I did not appreciate.
Just like Uncanny Valley.
Like I did not appreciate that jump scare. I was in Alan's shoes.
The Terra android.
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Oh, something I also want to say about the demon when she wakes up and sees him trying to kill her, she cries. It's almost like saying, like, "Oh, there's just some big misunderstanding. She didn't really do all that stuff." But she knows, "No, I did do all that stuff, but you didn't have to be so mean about it."
Yeah.
I'm like,
also Erica Lindbeck, and in classic Smiling Friends nature, like they ended up having nothing to do with her actual death. It just like completely ass pulled, and Gleb ended up doing the heavy. Yeah, Gleb did the heavy lifting at the end of the day because it was his garden that killed her.
Yeah.
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 Why if they got like an actual pop star, like a Taylor Swift or something, to voice her?
That would have been funny, but I understand. Like Erica Lindbeck is one of my favorite voice actors, so I'm glad that she's like a regular.
Yeah.
Oh, and I also love the running gag with the dagger that Charlie gets at the wedding.
Yeah.
Just like I gotta stop doing this to myself, man. Like this has to stop. But like oh, I guess like the dagger actually does come in handy. It was like a little Chekhov's gun, but then it was a retractable, and they had another realistic conversation. But I was like, Pim, I spent $600 on that thing.
You should get that returned.
He's like he's like wiped his socials, like he's completely moved out of New Jersey, like he isn't anywhere. Oh man, just like genuinely dismayed.
Yeah. The jump scare that the boss gives Charlie, I like to see that as a karma for the robot jump scaring Alan.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because like there were 3 jump scares in this episode. 2 out of 3 of them Charlie thought was funny, but then with this was like no, like you can't be doing that with me. I have a pacemaker. Like can't take the heat. Get out of the kitchen, boy.
Exactly.
Right. We ready to go to Brother's Egg?
Happy Halloween, everybody!
I would join you, but I have to go to my appointment with Dr. Monster at Dr. Monsters.
We're on the home. No. We're on the home stretch here.
All right, Brother's Egg. Let me just say right off the bat, Professor Psychotic has negative Riz.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love the restaurant they went to though. That's a fun idea.
Kind of like there's a restaurant in Missouri where they literally throw bread rolls at you.
Yes,
is that legal?
The Texas Roadhouse has a similar vibe, and it's very very fun.
Sounds like assault.
No, I mean,
as long as everyone's in on it.
I'm pretty sure they tell you straight up that that's what's going to happen, and you just have to be paying attention and catch them. Or maybe if you call out to them, they'll throw it to you.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
This one actually has my favorite cameo because this is a YouTuber that I have been following for a long time, Joel Haver. He is like at the forefront of sketch comedy on YouTube right now, and some of his most famous videos involve the style that you see here of like the semi rotoscope and also like line tracing, like weird AI. Just
on Twitter, I made the comparison to the film A Scanner Darkly, where it looks like a motion comic, pretty much.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. And did you notice that they also animated Professor Psychotic that way while they were fighting?
Yes, that's what made it
great.
So funny. And it wasn't just the fight scene, but like their very limp handshake they had before the intervention. But like the animators like didn't even try to make it look like they connected, which is what made it so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also love the voice of that little creature that comes out of the edge, just saying like, "Hello, Daddy."
We have to raise this creature better than our mother ever raised us. And, like as they're like hugging, it's just like sucking on his toes. Like, oh my god, what did we unleash upon this world? I was right there with Charlie. Like Pim, I'm in constant like stress. Like this world I hate this world we live in. Like it's constant chaos. It's like, oh man, like that is just like, yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very messed up word. Like, oh, you didn't think like the egg coming out was no, that's exactly what I'm talking about, man. Like I can't deal with this anymore.
Oh, before I forget, this is the episode where the Smiling Friends alarm comes back.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah.
right.
And
Oh, I forgot to mention also, like whenever they do that full shot, it's interesting to note that they are next door to a toilet emporium and also an asylum.
yes, I did notice that.
That makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
I just love that Charlie and Pim's disgust at the prospect of having to work with Jared Fogle. And like their completely different reactions to them.
Yeah, it just goes to show how good the show is at handling dark humor like that.
Yeah, like Charlie is like audibly disgusted, and Pim is just very matter of fact about it.
Yeah, just like, and Buddy wins them back by putting on the puppy dog face. Like, oh, okay, you know what, you got us.
Which he can't get rid of.
Well, and that brings also with the show that they're watching. I forgot to mention another big thing when it comes to like cameos and like the world that they live in feeling real. Like when Charlie was like browsing through that streaming service in the Gwimbly episode, there were like a bunch of like different like foreshadowing like cameos to episodes that happen later on in the season, and one of those was like the documentary that they have, and also like you could see President Jimble on there, and it's called Jimble's Empire of Diet, and you see like UFO sightings is one as well, and it's like the silhouette of the characters that appear in that, and the mysterious Spamtopia. It's like you wouldn't expect this show to have as much like callbacks and like foreshadowing as it does. Like it's very, very interesting.
Very cool.
You have to study every frame.
But yeah, the next episode, Charlie, Pim, and Bill versus the alien, which has a very famous plot hole at the end, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Oh man, like I really love how when the aliens show up, the guy goes, "Holy crap, aliens are real! I was just f***ing with you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like, oh man, like poor Bill. Like he's the one character in the show that got axed off who didn't really deserve it. But it just goes to show like the trolling in the titles like once again at play, because like Bill did not get to actually participate in the adventure.
No, but I did notice Charlie saying the Lord's Prayer when the alien showed up. More confirmation that he's Catholic.
That's true.
That's right.
And we got a return of Mike and Mike Ciclassa as one of the aliens, and also Rich Evans, so more Red Letter Media alum.
Ooh.
Yeah. But yeah, there are 3 theories for what can explain the plot hole at the end. Number 1, it was Glep telling the story in the Charlie Dies and Never Comes Back, so he didn't know the Earth was flat. 2, they went through an alternate universe where they ended up on a flat Earth. Or 3, they really did blow up the Earth.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they really did blow up the Earth?
Yeah.
How does that work?
It was just something about the turning around of the time frame. I don't know about the parallel universes. The other one is that God flattened the Earth when he threw Charlie back.
Oh, that's funny. And I guess he just put the glass dome on afterwards.
Yep.
Makes you wonder how anybody's able to get in and out. Maybe there's like a little hole to go through, like a window.
Directly above Mount Everest, there's a little glass door.
Oh yeah, same
like
style
the Truman
as,
Show.
Exactly.
Same style as the dome and in the Simpsons movie.
Yep.
It just goes to show how wrong our educational system is. Come on, guys, spread the truth.
Yeah, this fact, Charlie.
We have to take this to our graves. We can't tell anybody about this.
Yeah. Those two aliens. Fuck those guys.
Like actual jerks.
of all like the realistic arguments that they have on the show, this is probably my favorite of them because Charlie like rightfully like calls these aliens out on their bullshit.
Yeah, like, you guys are childish. And my roommate pointed this out, another very realistic part of that argument, when Pym is trying to calm Charlie down, and like Charlie like inadvertently elbows Pym in the face. Like, that's like never brought up again. It's just like they're such good friends that Pym knows it's just like a heat of the moment thing. He didn't really mean it. And like that kind of stuff happens all the time in real arguments. If it was any other show, when Charlie elbows like Pym in the face, it would have been like a whole like you hit me, and like oh Pym, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. I was just like, no, like they wouldn't care about that. Like, that's how good of friends they are.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Also that trippy drug scene.
Yes.
Love that.
So well animated.
Yeah.
And also another reference to an Oni Plays bit in their Avengers playthrough. Zach brought up a hypothetical of Tomar, what would you do if somebody in a black van came up to your Doge and injected it with a black tar-like substance? In this episode, Pym injected the black tar into his arm. It's like he injected that black tar without any of you guys even asking.
Right.
I love how offended the aliens get when Charlie revealed that Xenor never invited them.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, well, you guess what? Like, Xenor never. Yeah. So yeah. But oh, it's so good. And the police like having an even bigger ship than the already much bigger one. It's like how reminds me of there's always a bigger fish from Star Wars.
Yeah.
But if you guys think that Bill got screwed over, no, I think Tyler got screwed over in the next episode.
Oh, magical!
That was
cool, he was my favorite character, David.
Look, I am a I know Mr. Boss has his haters, and I'm a Mr. Boss defender until the day I die. But like, this one definitely like it shook my belief in him, like with how cold he was, and like, come on, man, how could you do that?
Yeah, Tyler gets fired. So important he gets a subtitle.
That
AKA Tyler gets fired.
I was worried that was going to ruin the vibe of the rest of the episode, but I mean, thankfully it recovered with the actual journey to Spamtopia.
Spamtopia.
I think this is my favorite episode.
I'm not surprised.
Funny. Yeah, I thought it was funny how they had that, and they're like, the only rule, no eye contact ever.
Like it starts off in like song form with actual like structure, and then when it gets to the rule, they just abandon it completely.
Yes, I love that. Like, they completely give up. Oh, it shows how like unhinged and like how little the rules really matter in this world.
Like, welcome to Spamtopia. We hope you like your stay. We only have one rule here, so please obey. Don't look anybody in the eye. It's very rude.
Right. But yeah, Spamtopia reminds me of drawings I used to do as a kid.
Like, could you imagine this episode being done by anybody else who like didn't have experience with the internet? Like, I cannot. Like, it's so weird that this isn't a YouTube video. Like, it baffles me that this is on like national television, because it does not feel like national television humor at all. Like, I'm so happy that this episode exists.
Yeah, and I love the contrast with Alan and Charlie's subplot.
Mm-hmm.
And like the conversation that they have while they're watching Kevin calling back to the end of the pilot. Because I completely forgot that had happened. So I had to go back and rewatch it, and he bit Charlie's nose or put his mouth around it.
Yeah, he's like, haha, nom.
It's also worth pointing out this episode came out on my birthday.
Sweet.
June 17th.
Yep.
And it's like, you sucked on my nose, and like, I did not like that. I felt very uncomfortable. Like, well, I didn't remember that. I'm sorry if that made you. And then it dies in the background. Like, oh no. And they find a manifesto too, and a bunch of other Easter eggs as well. Like, what a photo of Mr. Boss. What looks like that one photo of Alex Jones like selling the supplement pills, where like the before and after picture where he's like trying to look up, like show how it's making him more buff, but the after picture is just him like more red. That's the only difference.
Oh, God.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I love how they tried to disguise Gleb as Kevin, and he just gave up on it right away.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too because that character did not have a name originally in the first episode. Like they came up with it like impromptu during the DVD commentary. They're like, "What's his name? Jason. Yeah, okay, yeah, he's the most important character. Don't forget, guys."
Oh, Jason, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like Heavy Rain, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And this episode also has my favorite ending out of all of them because, like, I thought my roommate and I were so certain that there was no way they could take the like realistic arguing and just like jump scare endings any further, but like somehow they keep finding ways to one up themselves, and like here, which just like you see the dust like being released, it's like, oh, it's kind of cute, but then it's like you realize like, wait, that is a lot of dust, and then you see like Mr. Boss being the first one to react to it. It's like his voice is muffled because he's losing his hearing, and everyone's like losing their senses. It's like, oh my god, my eyes are starting to burn. Like, someone grab my hand! Someone grab my hand!
Yeah, I always did wonder that about pixie dust.
The line that kills me the most is Mr. Boss being like, "Don't breathe it in! Don't fucking breathe it in!"
I've actually seen plot lines like this before where he's not dead, he's just pupating. But this was fun.
I liked when they're escaping from Spamtopia,
yes.
and that waitress from earlier just starts chasing them with that demonic scream. And then it cuts to them back at Smiling Fred's headquarters.
Yes.
Like it reminds me of that one Family Guy episode from season 17 or 18 where they're on the cruise ship that overturns, and as the water's about to rise up to their necks, it just cuts them back at the living room. And Peter's just like,
nice.
That was crazy.
I love jump cuts like that so much. And it's worth noting that this world is so just like out there and just like loose to begin with. They only had one rule, and all it took was just removing that one rule for everything to devolve into utter chaos. Mm-hmm. It's like the ending of the mystery episode, but taken it way, way further.
This is why we have rules in the first place.
Yeah. My favorite little detail is that it shows like what they were doing with the song at the beginning, and then the words just fly in different directions. Like that's actually part of the world.
Yeah, just like you see like Windows like errors like actually in the background.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, so yeah, it was nice to see Charlie like fulfilling his promise to Tyler that he would get a drink with him afterwards, which also helped confirm that they were able to make it out of the dust okay. Like they weren't completely like forever scarred by it. I'm curious if we'll get to see Jason again.
Right. The last one is a title that is false advertising. Pim finally turns green. At no point does he turn green.
And I actually do know... What? Oh, sorry.
Jackson,
you say it first, Jackson?
Guys, I'm going to be real with you. The bit with the Yeti is the funniest goddamn thing I've seen on the show. It may just be one of the funniest. It may just be one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Oh god, his voice, his hand movements.
Before we get into that scene, I do want to get into that scene. The reason this episode is called that, and this is another thing from the DVD commentary, Pim's original design was actually supposed to be green. And there was something that Michael was like fighting for like the longest time, because like he thought it was like would be a funny color. But Zach and everyone had to be like, we can't make him green because then the two main characters, it's gonna look like barf colors if it's green and yellow. It's gonna make everyone sick. So we have they're okay, fine, we'll make him pink.
Yeah, that makes sense. Pink and yellow go well together anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the description of this one says, after eating an ancient artifact, Pim mysteriously turns bright green, concerning his friends and rivals. At first, everyone is horrified, but eventually they learn to accept and love the new green Pim in the season 2 finale.
No. What happens is they have a snowman with the voice of Tina Snyder.
Yes.
Brought to life by radioactive flowers.
Yeah.
This is our second podcast in a row where we talk about Dana Snyder.
That one legit, because like the YouTube cameos are one thing, but having legit character actors and like Adult Swim alums on the show, that's what I feel cemented this as a real Adult Swim show. Because like it's Dana Snyder, he's the voice of Adult Swim in my opinion. Like he is so iconic. It's so funny. And yes, and also Squidbillies, and
he's like the Gilbert Gottfried of Adult Swim.
That is the best way to put it. Genuinely, like I can, and like in Cartoon Network as well, because like Gazpacho and Chowder.
Oh yeah.
He was also a grandpad on the Patrick Star Show.
That is true. There's a relatively recent one. So yes, so awesome hearing Dana Snyder here. As per usual, he is great in his role. He this is a different kind of role for him. He really sells like the innocence of this character so well, and also like the constant screams he does. Like I'm imagining just like him in the vocal booth, like going for like that. Like he holds that scream for a really long time. It's very impressive. Right. Like I hope he didn't hurt himself doing that.
Yeah. So it turns out the actual premise of the episode is, what if Kristoff actually did tell Olaf what happens when he melts?
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of in a way a roundabout callback to the first episode of like him having to show someone why life is worth living, but now he has to take the lessons he learned from there and give it to an entirely new being of what is life, and like why is it okay to die? Because like we will die.
Go by the science guy.
Poor dude. Also voiced by Mark M, Mr. Boss. Which
I honestly thought they were gonna bring in Charlie's uncle for that.
Charlie, does your uncle still? His uncle? Does your uncle still know? I'm like 10 steps ahead of you, brother. And this feels like a wholesome Christmas episode too, because like there are multiple conversations where like the characters are just like essentially like they're just complimenting each other and being like, oh man, Mr. Boss is so funny. Like Alan, like you made those rocket boots, man. Well, in that case, we're definitely gonna take him to the Antarctic. Like, oh, like I love my friends. I love my God. I love America.
Yeah,
like accepting an award.
Yeah, I feel like that was just done because they didn't know how to end the episode, so they just started improving.
Yeah, but that stupid green Homer looking guy comes back and ruins everything again.
Yeah. And they almost had a plan. Like I thought like leaving him in the Antarctic would work, but lo and behold,
that was the Himalayas because of the Yeti.
No, that was where he basically lives forever.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the Yeti.
The Yeti. He was voiced by Chris O'Neill, who also previously voiced Smormu in season 1, and also the one character from Mr. Frog who's like, I missed my daughter's wedding for this. So I was very happy to see him have a more full role this time, and I'm with Jackson. This is one of the funniest moments of the show, bar none.
Like, it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen, period, honestly.
Yeah, again, the strength of Smiling Friends comes just as much from its side characters, how even just one-offers like Nip and Rotten and even this Yeti, they still leave an impression.
Like, I made a tweet about the Yeti, and that people agreed with, how I want to see him, like, be a recurring character in season 3. It was like he's driving everyone nuts. My wife is in hysterics. It's like, oh god, like the delivery is so good.
If I see you guys near my place again, I'm gonna kick your asses
hard.
Yeah, that's pretty
like and he turns out, he's like, huh, what's up? Yes, that's what I thought. Fucking pussies. And he punches the wall before he leaves.
I totally would have taken him, but my arm is still sore from the gym. So if I totally would have taken him.
Because I think what makes like the Yeti in particular so funny is that his rage feels like genuinely like you can relate to him, because like it was his property, and just like all of a sudden this like very irritating noise came out of nowhere, and you're like, what the hell? And you finally found out what it is, and you're like, okay. He probably asked, I'm sure he questioned Rotten the snowman, like who left him here, and being the innocent boy that he is, he just told him it was Smiling Friends HQ. He's like, I had to take the day off of work to drive all the way over here. Like, oh my gosh. Like, what do you do for a living, Mr. Yeti?
Yeah, you feel the frustration in his voice. That's what sells it.
Yeah.
And like again, as I was saying before, like I love how this guy has a monstrous looking design, yet he has a human like voice coming out of him, and it feels natural. It still has that deep kind of voice, but like it fits really.
Mm-hmm. It's just like a bit of a voice filter, but like not too distracting.
Right.
Because if the voice filter wasn't there, I probably would have been able to tell it was Chris, because I listen to his voice like daily pretty much. But because of that, like I was genuinely surprised when he made the announcement on his Instagram, like, by the way, I voiced the Yeti in Smiling Friends, go check it out. Like, what? Oh my god. Like, so that made me very happy. Especially because I don't know if you guys know, Chris and Zach had originally pitched a show to Adult Swim called Hellbenders that starred the two of them. But because like that was the first show that they had ever pitched, like they weren't very good at selling it, so it didn't get picked up. But like you can see those shorts like on YouTube if you want, and like it's very much the kind of style of humor you would expect. And I do wonder what an alternate universe would look like if that show was picked up. But at the same time, it worries me that if it wasn't, we wouldn't get Smiling Friends. So you know, you take what you can get.
Yeah, I'm still liking this because it's funny. It's got good messages and it promotes optimism.
Right.
It's a good contrast for what Adult Swim's known for.
And there's always something going on. It's never going to leave you bored on rewatch. So even however long it takes to get the next season, we still have these first two to tide us over, and I think that's enough.
Yeah.
And it makes me happy that they also continue to do like the end credits. Like I forgot that they weren't really in every episode in season 1, but with season 2 they became a regular thing, and it was like such a good decision to make that normalized, because like those tend to be like the best jokes, and including with
the
this
in memoriam.
episode, yeah, the in memoriam as well, and like even this episode, like they have the realistic conversation, like, so wait, is he just like the ocean now, or is he just that one wave? And it's like, oh my god, he ate that boat. We gotta get out. So yeah, I'm very curious if that gets like reference at all in later episodes, or if it's just completely forgotten. With this show, it really is just like 50-50 chance.
Yeah, watch the first episode of season 3 start with everything underwater and then immediately gets drained.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
They pull the main drain in SpongeBob.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So honestly, like, what else can be said? Like, Smiling Friends is like its own beast, and I'm so glad that it took off the way it did, like immediately. And
it's a true underdog story. Some randos on the internet decided to make a show and it sold.
Yeah, like I genuinely hope we get this for many years to come. Like I hope it becomes as prolific as Rick and Morty is right now.
Oh, Sam. All right, I think that does it.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts?
I mostly covered up all mine.
I guess we should say what all of our favorite episodes are. Like, make sure that we get that across. Mine is the Magical Red Jewel, aka Tyler Gets Fired.
Mostly for that forest.
Yeah, mostly for that final scene at the end.
Yeah,
I like the Shaded Forest for the LARP.
Mine is Gwimbly.
Very good one.
And mine, as I mentioned before, is Brazil.
Yeah, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of the show. You really can't. Any episode that is your favorite is perfectly understandable. That it speaks to the consistency of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Wesley. What'd you say? What your favorite was?
The Enchanted Forest, because I got into LARPing and they pretty much nail what it's like to LARP.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Like even if you look at our episodes, it's like it's 50-50 split. There's 2 episodes from season 1 and 2 episodes from season 2 that we chose. Like it's only like gonna continue to get like consistently, like not necessarily better, but like more budget being thrown at it, and so more capabilities for their style of humor to go crazy, because like the episodes we got here, while not necessarily like better than season 1, it's like we got so many amazing set pieces and gags that probably wouldn't have been possible back then, especially the Allen Adventure episode, which is my second favorite. Can't wait for season 3.
Yeah, same.
Donate to our Patreon, thanks.